What if a silent post on social media spoke louder than any press conference could? What if a single black screen, devoid of words or images, became the clearest statement from someone who could no longer pretend everything was all right? That very scenario unfolded when Andrew Wiggins dropped an Instagram story showing nothing but darkness. Warriors fans everywhere held their breath in an instant. It was meant to be just another mundane scroll through social feeds, but when Wiggins shared that somber black screen accompanied by a melancholic soundtrack, the ripple effect was immediate. No explanation, just an empty void that filled the hearts of Dub Nation with concern, nostalgia, and one unshakable question. What is going on with Andrew Wiggins? To truly grasp the weight of that gesture, we have to rewind to a few years ago, back to June 2022. Wiggins wasn't merely a rotational piece for Golden State, he was a linchpin in one of the franchise's most improbable playoff runs. While Steph Curry dazzled with his limitless three-point range and Draymond Green anchored both ends of the floor, Andrew Wiggins played the unsung hero. He guarded the opponent's most dangerous wings, crashed the boards relentlessly, and launched timely drives to the basket. Many believed that without Wiggins' steady contributions, that championship might never have materialized. So when the Warriors decided to send him to the Miami Heat at last season's trade deadline, reactions were mixed. On paper, it looked like a savvy move. The team remained competitive and clinched a playoff spot. But in the locker room and in the stands at Chase Center, something vital was missing. Wiggins' quiet confidence and unselfish effort had always been the subtle glue holding that roster together. When he was traded, even though he continued to perform admirably down in Miami, the Warriors lost a piece of their identity. Now, months later, that black screen post carries an even more poignant meaning. True NBA fans understand that behind every athlete lies a human story, a brother, a son, a friend navigating life's ups and downs. In September 2024, Andrew's father, Mitchell Wiggins, passed away. At that time, being a Warrior wasn't just about basketball. It was a sanctuary where Andrew felt understood and valued. In Golden State, he found a community that offered a measure of comfort amid his grief. But the shift to Miami meant leaving that safe haven behind, learning new systems, bonding with different teammates, and coping with a fresh environment while still carrying the weight of personal loss. Andrew never openly spoke about his struggles, but that stark black screen said it all. Fans flooded social media, trending hashtags in his honor, pleading for privacy and support. Others wondered aloud, could the Warriors still have a place for him if he ever chooses to return? It's not about trade chatter or contract details. There's nothing official linking Wiggins back to Golden State. Instead, it's about the emotional tether he still has to this franchise. Spotting number 22 jerseys in the crowd reminds us that Wiggins' legacy here isn't confined to stats. It's etched in the memories of a title run and a bond that transcends the final buzzer. But that void left by Wiggins' departure seems to have sparked another whisper through the corridors of Chase Center. A name, once whispered hesitantly, is now echoing boldly: Derek White. For a casual observer, this might sound like just another off-season rumor, but for those who breathe Warriors basketball, it carries symbolic weight. After a season marked by heartbreaking losses and tough roster decisions, Golden State has reached a crossroads. Stephen Curry's transcendent scoring can no longer mask the defense's lapses. Draymond Green's fiery leadership, though still impactful, faces the relentless march of time. Even Jimmy Butler's intensity, a mid-season addition designed to plug gaps, couldn't break through in the playoffs. The team's core is still eminently talented, but not enough to propel them beyond the second round. Now, reports from The Ringer, NBC Sports, and Yahoo Sports converge on one name: Boston's high IQ guard, Derek White. In Steve Kerr's universe, where off-ball movement, versatility, and defensive prowess reign supreme, White fits like a glove. Derek White, now approaching 31, had a breakout 2024-25 campaign with the Celtics, averaging 16.4 points, 4.5 rebounds, 4.8 assists, 1.1 blocks, and a steal per game, all while shooting 44.2% from the field and an impressive 38.4% from three. Those numbers don't even capture his invisible impact, the way he closes passing lanes, makes the extra help-side rotation, orchestrates seamless cuts, and plays with an unselfishness that turns good defenses into championship-caliber ones. In Boston, he shattered the single-season three-point records in franchise history, surpassing legends who once wore green and white. Yet off the court, the Celtics faced a cruel reality. Jason Tatum's Achilles injury derailed their championship. Hopes and the new luxury tax apron rules leave Boston squeezed financially. As a result, White's four-year, $918 million contract, complete with a player option, becomes a double-edged sword. To keep constructing a contender under the harsh tax restrictions, the Celtics might be pushed to move one of their most reliable two-way guards. That's where the Warriors see an opening. Golden State enters the conversation with more than just casual intrigue. They come in with urgency. Curry is still playing at an all-NBA level, but age is unavoidable. Draymond, too, feels the knees and aches of a decade at the pinnacle. And Butler, though he carries himself like a warrior, cannot be expected to do it all. Analysts argue that adding White's suffocating defense on the perimeter could finally give the Warriors the missing piece. A lineup where Curry's gravity pulls defenders out to the arc while White patrols the paint like a bloodhound. Imagine Klay Thompson sliding into catch-and-shoot mode, ready to exploit every defensive rotation created by White's off-ball movement. Picture Green orchestrating mismatches, knowing he has a perimeter stopper to trust. It's a plan that sounds logical on paper, almost poetic, a fusion of offensive fireworks and defensive mastery. But obstacles remain. After trading Wiggins, Golden State cleared salary but sacrificed a dependable defender. Their most promising young assets, Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody, hold tantalizing upside but still carry questions as to whether they can shoulder a heavier load. Chris Paul's expiring contract might help balance the books, but Boston places little value on CP3's veteran minutes. Kevin Looney, the consummate glue guy, has become expendable in this calculus. To sweeten the pot, Golden State may need to throw in multiple future draft picks, assets that, due to the team's consistent success, are less valuable than they once were. For the emotional pillar of this story, moving on from Wiggins, legacy still resonates deeply with fans. But from a pure basketball standpoint, White could be the final ingredient for one last championship run. All that brings us to the heart of the matter. Are the Boston Celtics willing to part ways with a player who was integral to their recent successes? And are the Warriors ready to risk their future stability for a chance to chase one more banner in the present? It's a conversation that strikes at the soul of Dub Nation, forcing us to balance loyalty with pragmatism, sentiment with ambition. But what do you think about all of this? Personally, as a Warriors supporter, I believe adding Derek White could be the catalyst to reignite our dynasty, even if it means parting with cherished pieces of our past. I can't wait to read your thoughts in the comments below. Before we dive back into these possibilities, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to Warriors News Fan Report so you never miss a single update on this seismic saga. Now, let's peel back the curtain on the nitty-gritty details of how Golden State could turn this Derek White dream into reality, and what it means for the team and the league as a whole. Imagine, for a moment, that the Warriors and Celtics finally reach an agreement. On paper, the deal would likely involve Golden State sending Jonathan Kuminga, fresh off flashes of two-way brilliance, along with Moses Moody, a senselessly athletic guard, each-arc wing with a smooth jump shot, plus at least 2 future first-round picks to Boston. To sweeten the pot, the Warriors might include Chris Paul's expiring contract as salary filler, knowing the Celtics place marginal value on a veteran point guard who can't match their youth movement. Kevin Looney's role as a defensive anchor, And pick-and-roll screener might also come into play. His familiarity with Steve Kerr's system could make him appealing to Boston as a role of the future, balancing out the assets sent west. From Golden State's perspective, that's a hefty price to pay. But acquiring White means slapping an elite two-way glue guy next to Curry, Thompson, and Green. It's the kind of move that can erase defensive vulnerabilities instantly. Of course, the financial side of this equation demands some deft maneuvering. The Warriors already carry luxury tax liabilities that would make a mortician wince, and adding White's multi-million-dollar salary bumps their payroll even higher. To offset this, Golden State could execute a sign-and-trade that sends a veteran, expiring deal, perhaps Otto Porter Jr., who has minimal trade value but a hefty salary, to a third team willing to absorb it in exchange for future draft considerations. By enlisting an intermediary franchise to take on expiring salaries, the Warriors create just enough cap relief to slide White into their lineup without immediately breaching the tax apron threshold. It's a classic three-team dance that any savvy front office must master when juggling superstars' contracts. More than mere arithmetic, it's chess. Every asset moved, every dollar shifted, affects on-court depth and future flexibility. Once the ink dries on that trade agreement, the on-court ramifications become unavoidable. Derek White's arrival fundamentally alters Golden State's rotations. Say goodbye to traditional small ball lineups featuring Draymond as the lone ball handler at the elbows. Instead, envision a quintet where Steph Curry initiates. White patrols the weak side, Klay Thompson occupies the corner, Draymond Green marshals the defense, and Andrew, in this hypothetical future, dominates the paint. That five-man unit becomes a defensive juggernaut. Curry's off-ball positioning hounds opposing guards, White's lockdown perimeter defense eliminates easy lobs or kickouts, and Green transforms into a roaming protector who can trust White to let him step out for help. Offensively, it's equally lethal. Picture Curry hitting a pull-up three, forcing the defense to scramble, then finding White in transition where he can barrel to the rim or gauge a mid-range pull-up. It's an offensive ecosystem where each superstar plays off the other's gravity, creating openings that no conventional scheme can contain. But as seductive as this vision is, it also carries the seeds of potential discord. Multiple players, accustomed to high usage, must now share possessions. Who takes the isolation late in the fourth? Does White defer to Curry on every single drive, even when DeJounte Murray or Grayson Allen-like versatiles surround them? These aren't hypothetical friction points. They are daily challenges for any roster stuffed with all-stars. Locker room. Chemistry also deserves scrutiny. White arrives from Boston, a franchise steeped in its own culture club mentality. Transitioning to the Bay Area, even with Curry and Draymond's endorsement, could require an adjustment period. Role clarity is essential. If everyone understands that White's defensive assignments are non-negotiable and that his offensive touches will ebb and flow based on game flow, the melding is smoother. But Steve Kerr will have to manage egos, delineate hierarchies, and ensure that everyone buys into the collective vision. Back in Boston, Celtics head coach Joe Mazzulla grits his teeth watching film of White's defensive rotations. He's torn between the value White brings as a perennial third-team all-defensive caliber talent and the constraints of the new luxury tax aprons. Keeping the rest of their core, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis, under one roof while retaining White would push them into punitive tax territory. So the calculus becomes, are those all-star caliber youngsters and maxed-out veterans enough to dethrone the NBA's other superpower in Golden State, or does moving White and resetting via youth and future picks align better with a sustainable championship blueprint? The answer is as elusive as the final scoreline itself. But for Boston, the question of identity looms large. Do you trade from a position of strength to get younger, or hold on and risk being squeezed by the tax while watching your rivals grow stronger? But what do you think, Warriors Nation? Is the price too steep to pay for a chance at another title? Or is acquiring Derek White the final missing puzzle piece that catapults the Warriors back into dynasty territory? Personally, as a die-hard supporter, I'm convinced that adding White's two-way brilliance to Curry's wizardry and Green's cerebral leadership unlocks a level of dominance we haven't seen since the peak of the Splash Brothers era. I can't wait to read your thoughts in the comments below, debate the package, dissect the chemistry, and let me know how you'd structure the rest of the roster. If you enjoyed exploring this potential blockbuster with me, do us a favor and tap that like button, subscribe to Warriors News Fan Report, and ring that notification bell so you're always one step ahead as we follow every twist and turn in this captivating off-season story. Until next time, stay golden